into today's science lesson. For those of you who watched my most recent video, the math video, you will see that my voice has gotten a little better now. My voice was really a disaster the last video I tried to make. So this one, you can see my voice is a little more normal today. My volume of my voice is a little more normal today, which is very good. So today we're going to be talking about, this is a new lesson called weathering. Okay, for those of you who have seen my other YouTube video of me walking around the outside of the school of Hoosick Valley, that was about this too. Okay, so weathering. You know, we've been talking about rocks and minerals lately, and weathering is a big part of that. And what is weathering? Well, it's not the rain and the snow and the sleet and the hail. No. It's not that kind of weathering. It's something different. Okay, and we're going to talk about what that is. I am sorry to report that this would normally be a pear deck. Now, obviously, under the circumstances that you're just watching a YouTube video, this cannot be a pear deck, right? I cannot have you interact with a slide. That's why I would like you to have a piece of paper and a pencil available to you at this time, because the couple of times when I would normally have you draw a picture on the pear deck, well, obviously we can't do that. So I will have you draw a brief picture on the piece of paper. So if you do not have a blank white sheet of paper, please get it now. So today we're going to talk about weathering, what it is, the different types of weathering, and the causes of weathering. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, obviously, you cannot wiggle your dot on this one. Okay, so I want you just to, in your mind, agree or disagree. A plant can split a boulder in two. Do you think that's possible? Yes or no? Okay. So here's what weathering is. Okay. Rocks are not eternal in the fact that they don't always stay in the same shape and the same size that they are forever. If you see a giant boulder in the middle of a field, and we've all seen that, right? It's not going to look that way very, very far into the future. It's going to change. It's going to crack. It's going to crumble, right? It's going to get broken down. So the breaking down of rocks, the cracking, the crumbling, that's what weathering is. It's caused by different things. Extremes of temperature, water, biological activity, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's not, when those little bits get carried away, that's something different. That's called erosion, and that's a lesson for another day. Okay, today we're just talking about how rocks get broken up by nature, not by people, not by someone with a sledgehammer. We're talking about nature breaking down rocks. That's what weathering is. Okay. Oh, let's see. Here's a nice, easy question. Well, maybe not. What happens to water in an ice cube tray after it's frozen? Well, obviously it turns from water to ice, but something else happens too. Do you know what that is? Have you ever noticed that the water in an ice cube tray expands when it turns into ice? And the amount of water that goes into an ice cube tray, the ice cube is larger than the amount of water that went into the tray. Okay? How many people have ever noticed that? Have you noticed that? So that's what happens in rocks. It's called physical weathering, also called frost wedging. There's a tiny crack in the rock. Water seeps in, rainwater, let's say. And if you live where we do, where we have extreme changes in temperature, where we have winters and cold nights and warm days, the water will freeze in those cracks. That water will expand when it turns into ice, and the crack will get larger. And it happens over and over again. And the more that it freezes and melts, the larger the crack. Look at this boulder to the right. Water did that. Freezing and melting and freezing water did that. It cracked the boulder right in half. Isn't that crazy? That's why there's cracks in the sidewalk. Okay? Because it didn't start off that big. It started off as a teeny tiny little crack. Water seeped in, froze, the water expanded into ice and melted. And then it happened again and again and again. Pause the video for a moment. Draw a picture of a rock in a rock with a crack in it, and then right next to it, that same rock split in two. Don't take too long. You don't need to take like 10, 15 minutes to do this. Draw a nice, simple picture of that. Pause the video now. Okay. Next, biological is living, right? Biology is a type of science, means living things. Bunnies are biological, right? Plants, animals. You and I, we're both biological beings, living things. Well, living things can also split rocks in two, and I don't mean a person with a sledgehammer. Check this out. This is crazy. A little crack in a boulder, right? A seed gets in there from a plant, right? That seed gets covered with some dirt, mixes in with dirt. It gets rained on. Eventually, a little tiny plant grows out of that crack. Next thing you know, these are real pictures. The plant grows to such an extent from that in that crack that it splits a boulder in two. This is called biological weathering, is when plants split boulders or rocks simply from the roots growing. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Hey, pause the video again. Again, don't take like 25 minutes to draw this. Draw a rock with a crack and a seed inside. Then draw another one of a plant growing out of the split rock. Okay? Again, don't take forever, but put a little bit of detail into it, please. Pause the video now. Okay? Hey, there's bonus time. Believe it or not, the sun can cause weathering too, even without the rain. Because extremes in temperature, if you've got a rock like say in a desert, deserts get very, very cold at night, believe it or not. I know that. Believe it or not, they do. So when the sun heats up incredibly during the day and then cools at night over and over and over again, those extremes in temperature can also cause cracks in rock and also can be weathering. And the wind can also do it too. Okay? So, how are we feeling? How are we feeling about this? Okay? Feel pretty good? No, yeah, we don't have any dot to wiggle. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. But I know I threw a lot of information out to you. There is a video that is going to be in Schoology, which you can watch, which will reinforce this concept. And let's do a quick little review, because I really did throw a lot of information out at you. Weathering is the breakdown of rocks, okay, from nature, not from people. Rainwater, extremes in temperature, biological activity. There's two main types of weathering, physical and biological. Yes, these are terms you will need to know. Physical weathering, also called frost wedging, is the water one. Water gets into the crack, freezes, expands, melts. It happens over and over and over again. Biological is the plant, mostly is the plants one. The seed gets in, the plant grows, the roots get larger and larger, and they split the rock. Okay? So those are the main differences. And the next lesson we're going to do is we're going to talk about what all these little bits that get broken off, well, eventually, what happens to them? Well, they get carried away. And that's our next lesson. It's going to be called erosion. And also, when I see you again, there's a hand gesture, which I'm going to teach you. Another hand gesture for weathering. Okay? There's one for weathering, and there's one for erosion. So yay, more hand gestures coming. Okay? And awesome. I'm excited. You're excited. We learned something about weathering. If you haven't watched, you watched my video of me walking around the school the other day, that ties into this. So everything's coming together, folks. I will see you soon. It's wonderful to see you again. Have a fantastic day.